But before we hit play, I just want you to know that tomorrow is my birthday, so I'm just wondering if I can bribe you to subscribe to my channel using my birthday. It will really make my day. Bless you. The film kicks off in the woods with 3 hunters. One hunter named Dale, our overzealous adventurer, abandons his buddies to chase an animal like it's the last slice of pizza on Earth. Just as he lines up his shot, bam! A big, bald dude named Ryan Verrett appears and shoves him off a cliff. Now, Ryan isn't your run-of-the-mill villain. Former cop burning for revenge because his family was butchered. And, oh by the way, Dale was one of the killers. He's on a one-man crusade. Our anti-hero cruises to a town ominously named Hope. A place ruled by a biker gang so terrifying even the sheriff trembles behind his badge. Ryan doesn't flinch though. He's got scores to settle. Stopping at a gas station, Ryan picks up a few bits and pieces, while the owner, Kirby, directs him to the town's sole motel, run by Darcy, a young woman whose business is so cursed that even the ghosts hold their breath. Darcy's stunned that Ryan dares to enter this forsaken dump, but he's got bigger fish to fry. Meanwhile, in a subplot, FBI Special Agent Frank and his team are cooking up plans to nab Dale, who, in an absurd twist, is also a rapist. Mid-strategy session, an agent bursts in with the news. Dale's dead. Did I write this movie? Because sometimes it feels like it's writing itself. A flashback shows that back when Ryan was a cop, he was partying with his family when a gang of criminals, led by the melodramatic Drake Santiago, crashed the bash, raining bullets like confetti. Drake, nursing a vendetta against cops who once locked him up, wanted to erase his past by targeting families. Except Ryan somehow survived his bullet-riddled nightmare. Cut back to present-day Hope, where Ryan's cruising again and spots some biker gang bikes parked like a bad hair day. One biker, losing his cool because of dogs barking, whips out his gun. Just as he's about to let fly, Ryan swoops in, cue the superhero landing, and beats him senseless. The racket attracts the rest of the gang and outsteps Drake himself. Oddly, Drake can't recall Ryan's mug, probably because he has sent so many innocent souls to heaven. Instead of a bloodbath, Drake just shrugs and lets Ryan walk free. Drake may have let Ryan go, but his paranoia is working overtime. He orders his younger brother, Rexo, to keep an eye on the bald man. Meanwhile, Rexo delivers some unrelated gangster drama. Apparently, a club owner had the audacity to refuse the gang's security fee, aka extortion money. So, Drake, being the benevolent crime lord that he is, offers a deal. 1 round of boxing. If the club owner wins, no more payments. Sounds fair, right? Except Drake is built like an aging Terminator and turns the guy into a human punching bag. But hey, at least he lets him live, because dead guys don't pay rent. Drake and his gang juggle multiple income streams like any successful small business, meth lab included, but their top priority remains: watch the bald man. That night, Rexo stomps into Darcy's motel like he owns the place, demanding to know if a big bald guy is staying there. Darcy, not in the mood for dumb questions, refuses to answer. Rexo apparently doesn't take rejection and threatens to send her straight to hell. Unfortunately for him, Ryan is also at the motel, and he doesn't do well with threats. Before Rexo can blink, Ryan teaches him the language of violence. Darcy freaks out, warning Ryan that Rexo is Drake's little brother, and beating him up is practically a death wish. But Ryan does not care. In fact, he decides to escalate things to Hollywood action movie levels. Instead of just removing Rexo, Ryan ties him to a car, sets it in motion, and sends it straight into the gang's meth lab. Kaboom! Rexo reduced to a pile of regrets. Drake and his crew arrive just in time to witness the flames, staring in disbelief as their empire goes up in smoke, along with Rexo. When Drake finds out his little bro is extra crispy, he loses it. The sheriff and his deputies show up, probably hoping to restore some law and order. But Drake, he walks straight up to the sheriff and delivers the kind of threat that would make a horror movie villain proud. Interfere and your family dies. The sheriff, whose spine apparently melted years ago, decides that letting the gang run wild is still the best strategy for keeping the peace. But Ryan, he's just getting started. The next day, he sets his sights on one of the gang's meth delivery trucks. Like a patient hunter, he stalks it, deflates a tire, and waits for the driver to step out. The moment the poor guy does, Ryan smashes his skull against the car door, then he blows up the truck for good measure. One gang member catches sight of the explosion and rushes to tell Drake. Drake, already grieving his brother and now watching his business crumble, is not okay. His meth, his money, his men, it's all slipping away. And the worst part? It's all because of one bald dude who does not know when to stop. Drake, now angrier than a team who put in so much effort in their recap, yet only few hit the subscribe button. Hey, seriously, you need to subscribe. Dude is convinced Ryan is behind the destruction. But instead of immediately going full murder mode, he decides to investigate. He drags Kirby to his base and orders him to dig up any information from Ryan. Kirby, realizing that refusing means an express ticket to an unmarked grave, reluctantly agrees. That same day, Kirby sneaks over to Ryan's car, hoping to uncover some juicy secrets. But before he can even check the glove compartment, Ryan steps out of the motel like, "You want to explain why you're sniffing around my ride?" Caught red-handed, Kirby panics and blurts out a brilliant excuse. "Hey, want to grab a drink at my place?" Ryan, not buying it for a second, agrees, probably just to see where this mess is going. At Kirby's house, Ryan demands answers, and Kirby spills everything. Drake sent him to investigate. Before they can process this awkward confession, a motorcycle roars up outside. Enter Crab, one of Drake's henchmen, who's here for a good old-fashioned beatdown. Unfortunately for him, Ryan is built different and floors him in record time. But instead of finishing him off, Ryan lets Crab crawl back to his boss, because why not give the villains time to get angrier? Meanwhile, Drake decides to buy his way to the truth and bribes the sheriff for information about Ryan. The sheriff reveals that Ryan is a former cop whose family was brutally murdered. This new information makes Drake realize that Ryan's actions aren't just random, he has a personal vendetta. As a thank you, Drake pays the sheriff in cash. But Drake's not done yet. He sends Crab to pay a late-night visit to Kirby, who's been deemed useless. Crab executes Kirby as punishment. Ryan finds out about Kirby's death the next morning and immediately clocks in for revenge o'clock. He storms into one of Drake's clubs and clears the room like an overpowered video game protagonist. Then, as if beating up an entire gang wasn't enough, he kidnaps Crab, shoves him in his trunk, and later dumps his lifeless body right in front of the gang's headquarters. Message received, Ryan is done playing. Drake, now officially in boss fight mode, gathers every goon he has left and arms them to the teeth. That night at the motel, Darcy hears weird noises outside. Instead of hiding like a sane person, she decided to watch Puzzled Recapped. Just kidding. She grabs a shotgun, ready to turn intruders into Swiss cheese. But Ryan, knowing exactly what's coming, tells her to hit the deck. Moments later, the front door creeps open and Drake's men flood in. Ryan waits, then boom! Lights out, and when Darcy flicks the lights back on, every single gang member is dead. Ryan, standing there completely unharmed, looks like he just stepped out of an action movie trailer. Ryan, knowing that the town is officially a death trap, decides it's time to get out of Dodge with Darcy. Unfortunately, the second he steps outside, surprise, Drake's men are waiting, ready to turn him into a human punching bag. They beat him until he blacks out. When Ryan comes to, he's tied to a chair in the gang's headquarters, staring straight at Drake. And because villains love monologuing, Drake tells him he's going to kill both him and Darcy, but not before, making Ryan suffer. He orders one of his men to get creative with the torture while he steps into another room. The tough guy starts wailing on Ryan like it's a training montage in reverse, until Ryan, who was totally faking helplessness, breaks free and wrecks his tormentor. Then, without skipping a beat, he goes full one-man army mode and starts clearing the ship, dropping gang members like they're extras in a bad action movie. After some mandatory hallway beatdowns, Ryan finally finds Darcy tied up with duct tape over her mouth. He frees her, but before they can escape, Drake shows up, doing his best final boss impression. Ryan knows there's only one way out of this, the showdown. Drake, in peak villain fashion, suddenly remembers Ryan, the cop whose family he murdered, and he thought Ryan was dead. Oops. No time for regrets though, because it's go time. The two launch into a brutal fight, fists flying, bodies slamming into walls. It's messy, it's vicious, it's everything a final battle should be. Ryan, being the human wrecking ball that he is, gains the upper hand and knocks Drake flat. But just as he's about to celebrate, Drake pulls a classic sore loser move, grabbing a knife and lunging at him from behind. But wait, enter FBI agent Frank, aka the last-minute hero, who shoots Drake dead before he can land the fatal blow. Turns out, the FBI finally decided to show up and shut down Drake's operation, and instead of arresting Ryan for his extensive body count, Frank lets him walk free, because, hey, the guy basically did law enforcement's job for them. Ryan leaves, promising Frank they'll cross paths again, and the movie should end there. Moral of the story, if you're gonna take on an entire gang solo, make sure you're a former cop with a tragic backstory, a steel jaw, and a personal brand built on explosions. If you made it this far, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. It will really make my day.